Hey, pastors and missionaries, this is Carl Walker with En Gedi Retreat, coming at you from the wilderness of Colorado up here at Latigo Ranch. I'm sending you this video message along with some written information about our retreat and symposium because you're interested in it. But I'm sending this video message because I cannot possibly convey to you the magnitude and the wholeness of what we're trying to achieve at these retreats next summer, these guided retreats. So stick with me on this. I'm going to shoot from the hip on this. There's going to be some practical information, and there's probably going to be some admonition here for you, okay? So these retreats were designed in order to give you rest and in order to teach you the skill sets to continue the rhythms of rest for a successful, healthy rhythm in ministry and in life. That's not easy to do. It's not as easy as just writing it down. Some people have said, hey, Carl, you have all these great ideas. You know all these pastors and you've experienced all these things that pastors suffer from. Just write a book. And I'm like, okay, I could write a book, I guess. But to you, I would say, well, you've got experience. You know what you're doing. Why not just write a book? Give it to your congregation. Tell them they're good, right? You wouldn't do that, right? You have knowledge. You have things you've gained. You've had insights you've earned that need to be passed on in person in some aspects. And in this aspect, it not only needs to be passed on in person, it needs to be passed on in practicality. I need you to be on a retreat free from the distractions of everything else that you're normally involved with so that you can focus on first having a retreat and having a wonderful time. And second, so that you can actually engage what I am going to teach you. And it's not just teaching. It's going to be lots and lots of practical exercise. The stuff I'm going to teach you, you're going to immediately start putting into practice. In fact, when you leave the retreat, you will have already planned your next retreat. That's one of the goals here. Okay? I want to leave you with a skill set that is going to last you for the rest of your life. That's my goal. And I can't do that with the distractions of a hotel or your family or your congregation or anything like that. Even your kids aren't even invited to this. Just you and your spouse. I need your whole undivided attention for what I'm going to teach you, because some of the stuff I'm going to bring to you is going to be very challenging. It's going to be very hard for you to grasp, ooh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to change my pace? How am I going to change the way I think, right? And so it's going to be an intense week. I'm not lying to you. There's going to be an amazing rest period here at Latigo Ranch. Latigo is phenomenal. We're on 500 or 600 acres here, and we're surrounded by millions of acres of national forest. There's nothing here to disturb you. There's no other people in hotel rooms. There's no kids running to swimming pools. There's no traffic, no nothing. This is extremely peaceful. There's all kinds of activities that you're going to engage in, from horseback riding to fly fishing and shooting and guided hikes and massages and all kinds of stuff. You're going to be relaxed from the moment you arrived. And the family here that takes care of you, which, by the way, there's actually going to be more staff here taking care of you than there are participants. There's only going to be about 15 couples, about 30 other pastor couples. No one else. No one else will be here. It will just be you. This will be a safe place to heal, to learn, to pray, to cry, to lean on each other, okay? But the Christian staff here is phenomenal, phenomenal. The Wranglers do a cowboy devotion every morning by themselves, okay? This place reeks and just exudes Christ and the Holy Spirit, okay? Now, when you come here, not only are you going to have an awesome time of rest, you're going to learn some things and put some stuff into practical exercises. That's going to be awesome too. That's going to be a challenge. You're going to do that with me. You're going to do that with your spouse. You're going to do that in small groups. You're going to do that maybe as a whole, okay? So be ready for that. It's going to be great. Even before you get here, I'm going to interview you. We're going to get to know your work and rhythm patterns. This is curated to you, okay? And I don't even have the perfect outline already set in stone, because I may found out the first 15 of you that come, 15 couples that come, may need something a little bit different. And that's going to be curated to each individual person that comes, okay? So I want to address something up front here, and that is something that I know a lot of pastors might balk at, and that is the cost, okay? First of all, let me say this. The cost of this retreat is just the cost of the ranch. It's what they charge everybody, okay? There's no extra in there for me. I don't get paid anything to do this. En Gedi doesn't get any money. It's just the cost of running a ranch out here in the middle of the forest with 20 to 30 to 40 staff and 80 horses and, trail maintenance and all that stuff. But the cost per person is $4,500, okay? So $9,000 per couple. Now, I know some of you may balk at that and be like, whoa, Carl, I can't, I don't know if I can afford that. Okay, so let me address some of that practicality and reality on that. Practicality-wise, the first thing I want you to know is that $9,000 for what you experience up here is a bargain. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you. It's a bargain. The food up here is tremendous. Like, it's chef quality food. It's 4 and 5 star restaurant quality food. It's not hamburgers and hot dogs. Like yesterday we had some homemade ice cream with a saffron sauce that, like, I was like, what on earth is this? It was phenomenal. Every meal like that. Every meal is like that here. Phenomenal food, phenomenal care. The lodging is great. You're not only going to get to horseback ride, the wranglers are going to teach you horsemanship, okay? Very, very different from other places in Colorado. You're going to go through like an hour-long training session on horses to understand them. Then you're going to get your own horse for the entire week that you're going to get to know. It's really phenomenal. So straight up front, $9,000 for this week is not a big cost. Now, for you, it might be a big cost. So there's a couple things I want to talk to you about here. The first one is this. We are trying to get a grant right now. We have a grant submission. If we get that grant, there's a good chance that we're going to be able to scholarship half of every couple if needed, okay? So that's a hopeful goal. I'll know that hopefully here by end of September, October, whether we can do that. Second, I don't want you to pay for any of this, okay? This is an investment. This is not a cost in your life. This is an investment in your future. And as such, this is an investment in the congregation you lead. And I want to engage your churches in this because this is, for better practical part of it, this is like on-the-job training for you. But most of you have never had this training. You didn't get any of this training while you were in seminary, okay? So I want your churches to be an active part of funding this. I would like your church to fund the whole thing, personally, because it's going to help you maintain rhythms and maintain a level of passion that is going to keep you in ministry, hopefully at that church for 30 years instead of 3, which is the average length of time a pastor stays at a church right now, 3 years, right? So in that, I'm going to engage your churches. I'm also going to teach your churches and your congregations. Every day that you're here, your congregation, however you decide to distribute it, will get a personal video from me about what we're covering, about what we're doing, about the importance of these things. I intend to teach your congregation. I want to change your philosophy and your theology about rest and working from a place of rest. And I want to change your congregation's theology about caring for their pastor. I want to change them from, oh, here's a pastor we've hired, to here is a pastor we protect. Here is a pastor we hold dear to our hearts, and we're the first people to notice when he's a little bit off, and we're going to take care of that. He's our pastor. We have an ownership of his life, and we love him well enough to do that. But they have to be taught that, and many times they can't be taught that by you. They got to be taught that by somebody else. I've been working with pastors for almost 20 years now. I might be able to help in that category, okay? The third thing I want to talk to you about in terms of cost is this. Over 20 years of working with pastors, or about 20 years of working with pastors, I've seen probably 200 pastors quit the ministry, okay? Easy. Most quit because of burnout, because they have no idea how to rest. They have no idea how to maintain a healthy rhythm. Some quit because of church strife. Some quit because of moral failure. Okay. They all quit, though, because there's something unhealthy that hasn't been identified. And if I were to ask those 200 pastors, hey, if you give me $9,000, you can go right back to where you were, except you can go back healthy. You can have everything back. Your church you lost, your wife you lost, the hope you lost. You can have it all back for $9,000. And you can be solid. Every single one of them would say, deal, $9,000, deal. And if they didn't have the money, be like, hold on, let me see what I can sell. Because it's not necessarily whether you can afford to come to this. It's more about whether you can afford not to come to this. Guys, I don't want to leave you with the skill set to survive. That's not what we're going for. I want to leave you with the skill set to thrive. And I don't mean thrive as a pastor with a congregation. That's not enough. Your job title is not enough for you to wake up every morning thriving. It's not. I've been doing what I love my whole life, flying airplanes. Fly airplanes every day. I'm 50 years old. I've been doing it since I was 13. And I love it. But it's not enough. There are days that I'm like, ooh, man, I don't like flying very much. And there are days you wake up and you're like, I don't like being a pastor very much. In fact, if you're listening to this, you're probably, a lot of those days are like that, right? So I'm not here to help you survive. I want you to thrive. But the only way you can thrive is if you're in the shadow of your king. And many of you are not. You've chased other dreams. You've chased church growth. You've chased baptism. You've chased programs. You've chased better preaching. You've tried to get the next best music minister. And none of those things will suffice. They won't. I'm like, personally, they won't. It's not enough. Your job title is not enough for you to thrive. You need a new practical theology about living in the shadow of your king and waking up every morning excited just because he's your king, regardless of what he calls you to do. If I was attached to flying as my final goal in life, what happens when I lose my eyesight and I can't fly? Oh, then my life sucks, right? What happens to you if you lose your church? If church is everything to you, if it's all about my church, all about these people. What happens when that goes away? Well, it's not enough, right? So I want you to wake up from a perspective of thriving because you have a God that loves you. And not theologically wise. I know you know that theologically wise. Practically wise. I had to develop that. My first 5 years of helping pastors, I was an overworker. I worked too much, didn't retreat enough. It was bad news. Bad news. After about 5 years, I finally learned how to rest. And now, I'm extremely high capacity. I'm just being honest with you. I'm extremely high capacity. I'm a full-time pilot. I run En Gedi Retreat. I run a photography business. I help co-lead a home church. Like, I'm very busy, okay? And I love that. But much of that all of that is not because I do those things and I love those things. That is because I've learned how to rest and have a rhythm with God that continues to put my faith in him. And you know this if you've been with me a while. Every year, I tell all of you guys, go pack sand. I say, you losers, go home. I'm out of here. I'm taking my family and we disappear for 3 weeks. And I love it. It's like life-giving to me. It reminds me of who my God is. So I want you to thrive in this, not just survive. So if you're thinking about coming to this, yes, it's going to be an effort. There's going to be some sacrifices. You don't change the way you live without sacrificing something. Everything has a cost. This has a cost. And it's not financially. The cost is not financially. You're going to reap the rewards of the financial cost very, very soon from this. I have no doubt about that. But you're going to have to change the way you do ministry. You're going to have to change the way you talk to people. You're going to have to change your transparency level. All of those things we're going to discuss. Okay? And we're not going to discuss them from here's how we, no, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really authentic. You're going to have to come to grips with some of this. And I'm going to be there with you the whole way, as much as I can. Okay? So, listen, if you're thinking about coming to this, I want you to pray about it. I don't need to sell you on this. I really don't. If you're a pastor who suffered from burnout, you know the cost of that. And that cost sucks, right? When the devil attacks you and you got no defense because you've wandered too far from the shadow of your king, like, there's nothing you wouldn't pay to walk out of that, right? There's a cost to that. I want you in a place the rest of your life where you're so close to your king that when the devil comes to attack you, you can look him straight in the face and say, I serve the God that made you, and I stand in his shadow, so do your level best, because I'm ready. That's what I want you to feel. That's my hope for you. Is it a commitment? Yeah, it's a commitment. Is it going to be hard? Yeah, it's going to be hard. Are there going to be some tears involved? Yeah. Yeah. So read the packet, read the information. If this is something you want to embark upon, let's do it together. I'll be with you the whole way. I love you guys, and I look forward to next June where we can take the first 15 of you and hopefully transform forever the way you do, not just ministry, but the way you do your life. I love you guys. It's Carl Walker, helping you. Bye-bye.